Welcome, TJ One-on-One with TJK. Ladies and gentlemen, Happy New Year 2024 is here. We have brought you ordinary people doing extraordinary things in the world, and we continue to share so we can learn, relearn, and unlearn some things. Many of the people we've brought here on this channel, ladies and gentlemen, are founders, CEO, change makers, innovators from all over the world. Today, we are privileged to be hosting a man who leads an organization that I have so much respect for, so much that he convinced me to be on his board and to chair his board. When you are a board member, you have a driver behind the organization who is a fearless leader. And ladies and gentlemen, that fearless leader is none other than Aaron, who is our guest today. Second episode in 2024. He's a busy man, took us a whole year to get him to come and visit TJK here. Welcome, my friend. Welcome, fearless leader. Aaron, please greet the people and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you very much, Jackson, for inviting me and for having me on TJK Show. And yeah, it has taken us a long time to be here, but I'm glad that I am part of it today. And a listener, I'm excited to be sharing my story with you. And I hope that it can be one that can give you a perspective on life from this side of the world.
Please do tell us a little bit about your background, your parents, your siblings, where you grew up, and what really shaped your background and influenced you to have the values and aspirations you ended up having.
Oh, wow. So I was born in Ginger, and then my family moved further east where I grew up. So when I started understanding, I was in a different environment and lived, my childhood lived in this small hut that was our sitting room, bedroom, kitchen, store, everything with me and my siblings. The memories I have of my childhood are very happy. Somehow my parents created this environment where I played, I had fun, I enjoyed my childhood, and they protected us from whatever struggles they were going through at the time that later I came to learn how to do a lot with poverty and hustle and looking for money and things like that. But from early on, I remember that one, my mother did a lot to be available for us. And so one of the things that she didn't premeditate, but kind of just happened appropriately, is she spaced us very well.
Yes.
And so my big brother is 5 years older than me, and I'm 5 years older than my young sister. 5 years is enough time for a child to basically experience the parents' love and have enough time to feel like you're last born. And by the time my last sibling came by, I wasn't envious. I was happy. I had my time. And that probably contributes to me having a happy childhood. But growing up in that kind of environment, in what later I have come to understand as abject poverty, I realized that there were things that my parents did that have taught me and have influenced who I have become. One of those things is hard work. Every day I watched my mother wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning to go to the garden, the same as my dad. They would wake up so early in the morning and go to the garden and dig. And for my dad, that digging sometimes would go for the whole day. You go to dig, you come back, you have some food to eat, you rest a little bit in the afternoon at 2, 3, you go back and you continue to cultivate. And that a value of hard work combined with determination kind of shaped us so much in a way that has made us to aspire to go further and given us the thinking that it's not impossible to achieve anything we want to achieve. It's not impossible. You don't have to give up, because my parents never gave up on us. They never gave
Yes.
up living. They never gave up on hope. They never gave up on the possibility of a better future. And they always told us, look, we don't have much to give you, but we are going to give you an education. And education is going to be our investment, your inheritance. And once you get an education, don't ask for anything else from us. And that kept us good because
Yes.
we knew our only inheritance was education. And they showed us
Mm.
the determination to ensure that they give us an education, in their hard work to ensure that they give us an education, in everything, the sacrifices they made. I never saw my parents live a luxurious life or buy themselves clothes or shoes or the things they could probably have bought for themselves, just because they were trying
Mm.
to save that extra coin to enable us to go to school. And
Wow.
they did. And in a way, we went to school, and the encouragement from home and the schools we went to, there was no option to drop out. That was not a conversation you would have. I need to go to school today because what?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, even when I was in secondary school and I would be sent home for school fees, actually, because of the kind of childhood and background I had to find ways of not going home. So I would go around the classroom, and when
Yes.
the teacher gets out of the classroom, I would come back and enter. And
In.
knowing that it will take another week for the teacher to come back to the class and read fees defaulters. And that
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
determination and continuous aspiration to become better, to go further, to achieve something, kept pushing us and pushing me to get to a place where I am.
Wonderful. You see, I tell young people all the time that while you are looking far away from mentors and mentors and mentees, don't go beyond your home. Your dad and mom, regardless the jobs they have, basically instilled in you and your siblings the values that still carry you today. Without using the books they had read, without using the travel, Twitter, X, Instagram, anything, they still influenced you in their own way. And here we are. We have a speaker today, ladies and gentlemen, because of your mom and your dad. Something
Yeah.
else that really I didn't know about you all these years, how your parents spaced you. I wish I had spoken to your parents before I had a kid and another one, two twins following a child who are 15 months apart. And I see that all the time because the boy never got his time with us, the parents. And so all three of them are like triplets growing up together. It has its advantages, but for a boy followed by girls, there are more disadvantages because that complaint still sits there. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that part. And so your siblings are all in Uganda.
Yeah.
Your mom and dad are still alive. Uh,
Yeah. My parents are still alive. They
okay.
live in Eastern Uganda. My siblings all live in Uganda. We all live here and we all do several things. We've all grown up, so of course it's empty nest for my parents. But it's always a
Yes.
joy to kind of connect with them and continue to tap from their wisdom and their guidance, even as we grow.
Very good. So with that background of mom and dad and siblings, what sparked your passion for education? And how did that lead you to founding enjuba, which is right on your chest? And the
Yeah.
reason I say this, Aaron, the reason I ask you that question, we have so many Ugandans and so many people around the world who have gotten education, used it for so many different things, but yours led you into founding something to help others get education. Where was that spark, if you can trace it back and highlight
So tracing the spark is a long story.
it?
But there are several things, of course, that learning from my parents and seeing how much they contributed towards my life. Their lessons on trusting God, their lessons on going to school, their lessons on being independent and understanding that no one owes you a living. and those things kind of carrying on in my life. I was lucky to attend 1 year of preschool education when I was younger. And that propelled me to be able to go through primary school and complete and go to secondary school. And secondary school life was a bit precarious. I didn't go to the school I went to, but because of financial resources, I ended up in that school. And then I went to A-level. And in A-level, I remember my big sister visiting and saying, hey, if you do not perform your best and get a government scholarship to go to university, then there's no university for you because we don't have the funds to take you to university. You'll end up probably as a teacher with a certificate or a diploma in. And I didn't want to hear anything like that. So I had to pull up my socks and figure myself out and work hard to be able to get a government scholarship to go to university. So I get to university, and in the first week of being at university, I look back, and in Uganda, in most universities, in the first 2 weeks, everyone is trying to associate. So you're finding hobbies and your OGs from your primary school and your secondary school, and trying to form an association or join one that already exists, and find people who are familiar to be able to relate with and have conversations with on how to navigate university. And like many young people who join university in Uganda, I came to Kampala for the first time when I was coming to Makerere University to join my bachelor's degree program. And I look around to look for an association or students who I had studied primary school with, and there was no one. So I decided to ask myself what happened to them. It really bothered me a little bit, and I asked myself, so what happened to everybody I went to primary school with, even those who were super intelligent and I thought would make it. And it hadn't occurred to me that actually through my primary school cycle, several kids would not come back in the next year. But it was at university that started to hit me, and I started to understand that actually most of these kids probably dropped out, and there was none at the university. There were a few, probably 2 or 3 from my secondary school, and a few more from my A-level school. And so, anyways, I went on and did my program, but it kept ringing in my head. It kind of had created this awareness. There may be something different about you. You're lucky to have got to this point, not with everyone else.
Yes.
So then one day, I go back to my village, and I knew one friend of mine who we had gone to school with, and he had dropped out of school and gotten married and was living in a village, was a drunkard by this time. And that was like a normal story at that stage. But what broke my heart is to go back and realize that his young brother, who was a kid that we all observed growing up, was no longer going to school, was driving a sugarcane truck, and had a wife. And I remember asking, what? That boy has a wife? How? He was such a young boy to me that there was absolutely no way he could have a wife. But let's continue to highlight that there was a problem with dropping out of school. And later on, I started to think maybe there is something that I can do about this. And so that kind of sparked the interest to want to spread luck to other people and help empower them to become the best they can ever be and to reach their full potential. But of course, in the beginning, the desire wasn't really getting into education. The desire was to just empower people to reach their full potential and support them to be able to access some funds, access opportunities, and be able to make choices that could be able to support themselves and support their families and take them to the next level. So we started enjuba from that kind of background. a desire to just spread luck, spread opportunity, and give other people a chance to life, just like I thought I had gotten a chance
Exactly.
to having a different life that I thought others should have. So started in Juba supporting artisans to make products and sell them online in Singapore and in the US, and get the funds and support, give back to them to support their families. And as we continued on in 2012, this came back to me. I was reading a newspaper article written by a friend who had attended the same program at university.
Yes.
And had analyzed something that nobody had paid much attention to. It was around January, primary leaving exams were coming back, and he analyzed and pointed out that of all the children who had joined primary 1 7 years ago, 71% had dropped out of school, and only 29% had sat their primary leaving examinations. Now, primary leaving examination is the top exam for a primary school, and just like many countries, primary school is the first, and if you don't go through primary school, you can go to high school. If you don't go through high school, you can go to college. And so it hit me harder because now there was a number, and the number was much bigger. And I realized that even if I wanted to do business, there was absolutely no way I was going to succeed in any business if almost 3/4 of our population was not finishing first level education.
Yes.
So I started to ask myself, what can I do for my country rather than what can my country do for me? And
that's JFK. That's JFK quote right there that sits on Harvard Kennedy School.
So I started to ask myself that question, and the more I asked myself that question, I started to wonder and to think about avenues in which we can create change. And I thought about where. And education and children was the most obvious because personally I had seen its transformative power in my own life. And I could attest to the fact that through education, I was able to go to university and I was able to access more opportunities, to see the world differently, and to look at things in a different light. And I thought, if we provide an opportunity for children out there, children I relate with so closely because I've gone through their shoes, give them an opportunity to have access to an education that takes them through to finishing primary school, to finishing secondary school, to going to university, that could change their lives, one child at a time, one family at a time. And that can set a standard and a precedence to changing an entire country and an entire continent. Because if more children go to school and are able to finish school, then it means they have gained skills for employability, they have gained perspective on life. The possibilities of them continuing in the cycle of poverty or ending up in habits of being drunkards reduce significantly.
Yes, that's true.
And that gives them an opportunity to not just help themselves, but help their entire families, help their entire communities and villages to come out of poverty. And Jackson, you a story of this. I mean, access to education and how that has helped the entire village and the entire community where you come from in Western Uganda in the Rukunjiri district, transform it. I can't say.
No, you are preaching to the choir when you are talking to me, but out there, we still have people who need to hear this information. Because, Aaron, if we had 10 more Aarons or an Aaron in every district in Uganda, the conversations would change, the perspective of the country would change. This whole sit-down government at Yande would change. So these conversations are for those people. Of course, you and I understand this is why we support each other. But let's jump into we are going to get later into what enjuba is doing now. And for those of you who don't know Uganda, enjuba is rain, right?
The sun. The
The
sun.
sun. Hey, enjuba
The
is
sun.
sun. Wow. Rain is what in Uganda?
In Cuba.
Enkuba. Monsonyi bannange kabaka
Very
w'ekitiibwa.
close.
Very close.
Yeah.
Okay. Enjuba is the sun. So basically, this organization shines the sun on children's
Sunshine.
lives, sunshine everywhere. We are smiling sunshine people here. Abaganda bagenda kunzita leero bannange. Nze ndi Muganda mukiga munsonyiwe kabaka najja kunsonyiwa kubanga mmanye oluyimba twesiimye nnyo olwa kabaka waffe. So I get my penance from that. Many people have a passion. Many people see what you saw, but many do not take a step into this leadership and entrepreneurship with innovative touch. How did you learn to be a leader you are now and take on this entrepreneurship? I call it entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship, because it takes the same skill MTN uses to lead an organization for you to lead enjuba. So highlight on that, then we go deeper into the co-founding and what enjuba does every day for the country and for the people.
So leading is an everyday journey.
Yes.
Leadership is not a destination. It is a journey that we take on and learn every day. And I think for me, from the beginning, it is just curiosity. A desire to learn something new every day. And a desire to want to be better than myself yesterday. And a desire to see if I can be able to take some people on along the way. But I also believe that leadership is not telling people, you know, in Uganda and many other parts of the world, we have understood leadership from a dictatorial point of view, where we think leadership is about dictating things and telling people what to do. In my perspective, leadership is about believing in people and enabling those people to be able to achieve their goals and to reach their own full potential in their own way. And in that journey, for me, I have been in several places where I've just placed myself there and said, okay, I'm going to believe in people, I'm going to work with people, and I'm going to do what needs to be done. There is a problem, I'm going to step up and I'm going to mobilize whoever I can mobilize and work with to ensure that happens. But specifically in 2010, I came to a full realization of this kind of leadership and how it lacks and how it. I was working in a community in central Uganda in Nakaseke district. And I had gone here to support, co-found a radio station and create programs to be able to reach out to about 1 million people in that area and help them to see life differently, help them to make the most important decisions of their life based on what information they had access to. And I had gone there with this belief that he who has information has both power and wealth.
That's true.
And so I was very intentional on trying to create programs that gave people as much information as possible and information that was helping them to become the best they can ever be. And then one day, a young man comes to me and says, hey, we would like to organize a bicycle race. What do you need me for? And he said, well, we would like you to agree. Can go ahead and organize the bicycle race.
Yes.
And I thought, you just want me to agree. Okay, go ahead and organize the bicycle race. So I said yes, and they went ahead. I didn't have to do anything else, absolutely, except say yes.
Yes.
And they went ahead and organized the bicycle race, most amazing bicycle race I had ever seen. They got a funder a local bicycle spareman
Yes.
who gave them the award, the frame of the bicycle. They got other shops to donate plates and basins and buckets as awards. They mobilized border men to go and map out the route and also act as ambulances in case anyone got an accident.
Yes.
Order people to register and contribute, I think, about 2,000 shillings towards the bicycle race. And they registered a significant number of people. They organized beginning time, and they organized the whole thing. It was so organized that at the end, I was shocked how they had gone ahead and pulled everything together, and all they needed to go ahead and do that was for me to say yes.
Yes. Yep.
And we will lend you the radio station name as a sponsor, but we're actually putting in nothing except saying yes. So at the end of the event, they came and gave me an update of what had just happened and invited me to give a speech and give the grand award. That's when it really hit me that if I hadn't said yes, if I hadn't believed in their idea, in their capacity to pull this off, if I had wanted to micromanage them, if I had asked so many questions and tried to analyze it and everything, they would never have pulled it off.
That's
they
true.
would never have realized the potential in themselves to make this happen. And I realized that leadership is just about believing in people, because within every person, there is so much potential that's unrealized. And in most cases, all we need is for a leader to believe in us, to say, yes, you can do it. And then with that, we can soar like the eagle. We can fly. And that was not the last thing I saw. I started to see several other things happen. I said yes to something else that took me around every month to a different community of about 300, 500 people gathered on their own, self-organized, to discuss and find ways in which they could get themselves out of poverty. And there I would go and sit and be a witness to what these people were able to do. Now, most of these people are the kind that international development easily categorizes as poor.
That's
and
true.
without agency and without a voice, and who international development thinks we need to think for them and take programs too. I saw these people sit down and arrange their own programs and come and present and say, we as the people of this community have decided that we are going to mobilize funds and buy pigs and start a pig farming business. Or we are going to do chicken, or we are going to do farming and grow gonja. Gonja is a special type of banana in Uganda. Plantains, expensive. And I would see other people from other communities coming in and saying, if that's what you're going to do, we are going to support you. There's a particular gentleman who would come on every event and say, I'm going to give you 100 suckers of plantain if you're going to do farming. Come and pick them so that you can grow your own farms. And I would stand by and say, what was my role in this? Nothing. I just said yes.
You said yes. Yes, that's your role.
And believed in them. And then they went and soared and did amazing things that I could never have accomplished as a person. And that experience actually continued to captivate me and to make me believe that change is possible. And what the world needs most of all is pure leadership, authentic leadership.
Yes.
People who can believe in their people and say, you can make it, you can do it. And that has pushed me, because I have also had leaders like Jackson who believed in me and who said, yes, you can do it. And that has pushed me to go ahead and be able to do what I can do. on my own.
Wow. Well done, well put, Aaron. Thank you for doing that. And if we can all learn to say yes and believe in people, if international organizations who are all over the world trying to do things for the people can say yes to the people, development would be 100% on steroids and problems will be solved right now.